Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2573 Elon Freeman's Exploration Team 1. Zhang Yi did not hide the fire in his eyes. He squinted at the marked origin like a hunter eyeing a perfectly cooked piece of meat. In other words, this Martian origin is a place overflowing with wealth. The best landing site that Elon Freeman chose saved us a lot of trouble in finding energy-rich areas. He pointed to the Martian origin. We just need to follow their trajectory and land in this area, right? That's how it is in theory. Yang Xinshin continued scrolling down. The footage documented Freeman and his volunteer team. In the scene, dozens of humans wearing old-fashioned hard-shell spacesuits stand in 2 rows. The equipment looked crude, but it could barely be considered an early immigrant kit. In addition to the life support system, there are also a batch of biological community samples in the cryogenic chamber. Germination-forming soil bacteria, nutrient algae, and radiation-resistant micromoss. This is not an expedition. This is the pioneering team. They didn't just go to take a look, they went to create a civilization. If civilization is established, they will become the gods of creation in myths and legends. Yang Xinshin said softly. The records of the pupil organization at the time said that Freeman claimed to have established a second life base. He wasn't just saying that offhand. He really intends to establish a colony on Mars. And he was very clear that something would happen to the planet. He had been making relocation plans for more than a decade before the end of the world. Zhang Yi remained silent. He simply leaned back in his chair, his knuckles tapping lightly on the table. He was deeply impressed and admired by the person who could have conceived of all this decades ago. Yang Xinshin then pulled up the second set of documents. Those were deep space monitoring data and Mars orbit reports that she compiled herself. She is the smartest person in the team and Zhang Yi's advisor in every operation. In front of Zhang Yi, she is often the one who translates complicated things into something you can understand. She straightened a section of the coordinate curve with her fingertips. Next is our plan to land on Mars. Zhang Yi nodded. Go on. Yang Xinshin clicked on the first one. The relative distance between Mars and Earth, based on their current orbital positions, is narrowing. She pulled up a simple, intuitive number. 78 million kilometers away, Mars is only this far away from us now. At this distance, if we upgrade the Dreamer's engines, optimize inertia compensation, and take into account deceleration and trajectory correction, theoretically. She paused, then looked up at Zhang Yi. It will take less than a month to arrive. Zhang Yi raised an eyebrow and said calmly, A month? It's a bit long, but still acceptable. He joked, I originally thought it would take more than half a year, eating compressed biscuits on the road until I wanted to die. If it really takes that long, he'll probably have to change his plans. Because if it takes a year to travel back and forth, who knows what might happen on Earth? Liang Yang was leaning against the sofa armrest, sunbathing her legs, her nails painted with a new iridescent silver. Upon hearing this, she gently patted her fair and tender calves, which were even more slender and long than a woman's. However, generally speaking, men's legs are always thinner than women's. Her eyes crinkled beautifully as she whispered to Fatty Sue. Oh, dear, I still need to prepare clothes. You can't be too sloppy when you're living on a spaceship for a month. Fatty Sue swallowed hard, and while applying body lotion to her, he whispered, I like black stockings, you know. Tianhai family stockings are pretty good. Yang Xinshin was not interrupted and continued with the second point. She pulled up a cross-sectional image of the Martian crustal faults. She and Luke Heron made it together. They used anomalies in Mars' gravitational field, magnetic field debris, and heat distribution to deduce underground cavities. She circled a dark area with a laser pointer. The surface of Mars is not quite what we imagined. It's not a solid red rock. It's hollow underneath, and there's a lot of hollow space. She lowered her voice as she said this. There are underground tunnels. It has a dome. There is a fluid layer. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes. So? Yang Xinxin turned to look at him and casually gave the most straightforward conclusion. Something lives beneath Mars. The basement of the villa fell silent for a moment. Lu Karen was typing rapidly, but her hand stopped hovering in midair. Li Yongyang's smile also faded by half. Deng Xintong gently placed the teacup on the table, his posture still elegant, but his eyes were noticeably more focused. Zhang Yi clutched the back of his head with both hands, laughing and exclaiming, So, there really is an underground civilization after all? Yang Xinxin nodded. We cannot be 100% certain that it can be called a civilization, but it is at least an organized long-term inhabitant. It's not like a haphazardly stacked insect hive. It's a structured, planned cluster of chambers. In other words, she exhaled softly. That place has most likely already been occupied. Zhang Yi clicked his tongue softly, leaned back, and crossed his arms. It means that if we go to Mars to mine, we might have to compete with the natives. Well, I'm prepared for that. However, there's nothing to be particularly worried about. Zhang Yi's confidence stems from his understanding of ancient civilizations. After Elon Freeman landed on Mars, he gradually lost contact with the planet, rather than disappearing completely. This shows that the Martian civilization did not launch a direct attack on them. This is clearly not the approach of an advanced civilization that can control the overall situation. Secondly, Zhang Yi had not heard anything about Martian civilization from advanced civilizations such as the Dragon Clan or the Lunarian Empire. Therefore, their threat level is not particularly high. With the current strength of Zhang Yi's team and the technological level of the Dreamer spaceship, even if they encounter an ancient civilization and cannot defeat it, they can still protect themselves. Anything else? He stared at Yang Xinxin and asked. The third question is whether it's worth it for us to go. These are graphs of energy responses around the Martian origin, which we detected based on interstellar spectra. Please look at the big screen. She projected the three-dimensional structure of the Mars origin onto the large screen again. The mineral veins inside resemble clusters of converging lines, concentrated in the deepest, darkest areas. The energy density label next to it is a string of exaggerated, unrealistic numbers. On Earth, even high-level energy mines don't have a single-point density that can reach this level. This is no longer the concept of rare mineral. Rather, it is the concept of the cornerstone of civilization. Zhang Yi stared at the string of parameters, his eyes gradually brightening until they burned. Mars' energy resources are very limited, and compared to the crowded Earth, its resources are ridiculously abundant. Chapter 2570 for Elon Freeman's Exploration Team 2. Before deciding to head to Mars, Zhang Yi still needed to give some instructions to the people in the 6 regions. Zhang Yi brought up the projectors for each region one by one, and the round tables lit up one by one, as if 6 people sitting thousands of miles apart had suddenly pushed open the door and entered at the same time. Meetings have been held very frequently lately because every minute and every second, the world is undergoing many changes due to the appearance of alien races. So no one was particularly surprised. They just stared at Zhang Yi, waiting for him to speak. Zhang Yi crossed his arms and said calmly to everyone, Everyone's here, so I won't beat around the bush. I'm going to lead a team away for a while to find resources on other planets. It could take 2 or 3 months at the shortest, or maybe half a year if it drags on a bit. The high-ranking officials of the 6 regions looked at each other in bewilderment. Should they leave Earth and go to another planet? This is something that other regions, or even all human kingdoms, would not dare to even imagine. Interstellar travel, within the solar system, is also possible for some powerful nations at close range. But it's just sailing. Mining resources is far too troublesome. Without a large workforce and advanced equipment, it would be impossible to do so. But he is Zhang Yi. He doesn't need manpower or mining tools. Just by being there, he can empty out veins of minerals as large as small mountains. Space systems are incredibly convenient. Guanlongyue from Shengjing moved first, her upright posture loosening slightly. You're leaving Earth? Where are you going? Zhang Yi didn't hide anything from them. He tapped his fingers on the table as he said, Mars. It's the closest planet to us, and also one of the most resource-rich. A look of doubt appeared on Meng Yuanjuan's face. But right now, the Huaxiu Kingdom has no shortage of resources at all, does it? After several major battles, they gained a great deal of resources. In particular, the resources of the entire Wulwan Empire were divided up among the 6 major regions. Even if the 6 major regions only receive about 10% of it and 90% is in Zhang Yi's hands, that is still enough to support their industrial consumption for hundreds of years. Moreover, Zhang Yi later went to the moon, received gifts from the lunar people, defeated the Zhu Rong clan, and obtained their methods for applying geothermal energy. The current Huaxiu Kingdom is extremely wealthy. If we simply maintain the current level of technology, resources are certainly sufficient. However, given the current unpredictable world situation, we must accelerate the pace of technological development. Zhang Yi analyzed it carefully. Moreover, Huaxiu lacks many resources domestically and relies on imports. For example, iron ore resources. But now the Australian continent has been occupied by many foreign tribes, and I don't think we can trade amicably with them. Zhang Yi's words have given some people pause for thought. In the past, we were all from 6 generations of humanity. Even if there were disagreements between us, cooperation and mutual benefit were the key. But if even the races are different, then the focus is more on a zero-sum game. Furthermore, I discovered some advanced technologies from the Yihan tribe. If we can utilize them effectively, they will undoubtedly elevate the overall strength of the Huaxiu Kingdom by 1 or even several levels. Zhang Yi dropped a bombshell, which immediately caused an uproar among the top executives of the 6 major regions present. The technology of the Yihan clan. Shang Dawen couldn't help but scream. He quickly realized his lapse in composure, coughed twice, and then asked in a trembling voice, Is it that second-generation human race, the one with near-divine power? Yes. Zhang Yi stated succinctly. We have already deciphered part of the technology of the Yihan tribe. These include new materials, a more powerful energy defense field, and more advanced weapon manufacturing technology. And engines with higher energy efficiency. Zhang Yi heard a sound of swallowing saliva. This is not surprising because in any field, even the smallest progress will be quickly developed and amplified by clever humans. Even if the efficiency of the engine is increased by only 1%, the power of energy cannons, defensive force fields, fighter jets, and space-based weapons can be greatly enhanced by 1 level. Moreover, the technologies Zhang Yi mentioned, once developed, would elevate the technological level of Huaxiu Kingdom by at least 10,000 years. Anyone with even a little technical knowledge would look like they were dreaming and couldn't believe it when they heard Zhang Yi's words. If this plan succeeds, the Huaxiu Kingdom has the potential to become a civilization that surpasses the Songyuan clan. Zhang Yi's every word was so powerful and resonant. Ji Chonghai took a drag on his cigarette, tears welling up in his eyes. Is everything you said true? For the past 5 years since the apocalypse, they have lived in constant fear, feeling like a lone boat adrift on a vast ocean. One after another, powerful ancient civilizations emerged. The Huaxiu Kingdom almost perished when it faced invasion from the Wulwan Empire. Ji Chonghai is only in his 50s, but most of his hair has already turned white, all due to worry. They dream of peace. But peace requires sufficient strength to safeguard it. That's great. That's really great. Your Excellency Chaos, please go ahead and do it. We will fully support you. There were no dissenting voices at the scene, and everyone's face was filled with excitement and exhilaration. Zhang Yi nodded. Those technological products are very good, but to actually make them, you need a lot of rare materials. Earth is occupied now, and I don't want to compete with those old guys for food, so I can only look up at the sky. This is why I want to go to Mars to obtain resources. Hearing that Zhang Yi was going to be gone for so long, Xiao Lai frowned, his voice carrying a hint of unease. With you gone, the Huaxiu Kingdom is practically empty now, isn't it? If you're not here and someone comes along who doesn't like us and tries to lay a hand on us, should we put up with it or fight back? This is a very real problem. They lacked communication with other races. They clearly understood the attitudes of groups like the Fongwolf and the Ironclad towards humans during the negotiations in Australia. That was a stance that completely disregarded 6 generations and aimed to eradicate them as quickly as possible. If Zhang Yi hadn't displayed formidable power and deterred them, the Huashu kingdom would already be engulfed in war. Zhang Yi looked at him, her tone calm. We should be patient. The negotiations have just ended, and the Dragon Clan has endorsed the Huashu kingdom. At most, they will test our bottom line, but they will not dare to launch a major attack. Don't start a fight while I'm not around. If any alien race causes trouble, write down their names. When I return, I will naturally confront them. If you fight head-on with people when I'm gone, it's pointless. You'll just be sacrificing yourselves in vain. Here we end today's chapter. I hope you liked it. Kindly do also subscribe to my gaming channel. I have to Fina a way to survive. Thanks.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.